enjoying life. How about you?
I'm good. Just wanting to get through this last bit of lockdown and back
Trust me,
to
man.
normal life. You know, it's been a very
Yeah,
slow start to the year, but I imagine you've just been deep in camp this whole lockdown now.
yeah, no, definitely. It's a bit of a weird one because obviously when you're in training camp, you're pretty much on a lockdown anyway. So it's just home gym, bit of PlayStation, home gym. Um, so I haven't really felt it as much, especially because I'm living with, a couple of my friends and the sparring partners as well, who I've become friendly with. So it's been I haven't been too lonely, or even on the hard days, there's enough morale to kind of keep you going.
Is it true that you've offered them, even though your sparring partners are friends, that you've offered them 500 quid if they can knock you down during sparring?
Yeah, it wasn't my idea, but it was Shane's idea, and it's definitely been an effect. Fortunately, I haven't had to give anyone the money, but it was definitely there.
Look, let me take you back because I want to do. This is such an important moment in your life, and I've been around you a few years now, and you know the stuff you've done recently has been very inspirational as well. I'm so pleased for you've done your book,
Thank you.
and putting yourself out there and saying, "Look, I did something for myself, for my life, and look where I am now." And let me take you back because you and I have spoken about it before, but I really like to look at the detail. You're right. It's 2012. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I read you were 19 stone when you were 17.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind you're 15 stone now. Yeah. Around about 15 stone.
Yeah.
And you're a huge man. You're a massive frame, all those things. We've spoken about this lots of time. You are working in the fast food chain McDonald's, yeah?
Yeah.
And you got half an eye on the London Olympics, yeah?
Yeah.
Talk me through the detail of how that transpired.
Well, I'd already been introduced into boxing beforehand, but I was obviously, maybe very early stages, training and stuff. And obviously AJ or Anthony Joshua is one of the biggest UK boxers. So, I was aware of, Luke Campbell, Nicola Adams, all of those guys. But obviously where AJ was, he reminded me a little bit of myself in the sense of, grew up in London and, looks like he does the similar kind of stuff that I did and do. So I was always drawn to him as an athlete as well. A big, strong black guy, do you know what I mean? So I was like, oh yeah, he looks like me, do you know what I mean? So that was always something. And then I watched, obviously, his world amateurs, the world championships where he got a silver.
In 2011, yeah.
2011, so I watched that as just a spectator of boxing, like, oh right, amateurs, like, yeah, like how good is that level? And then watching him go from that to winning the Olympics, and I just happened to literally, it wasn't like I planned my break around that time or nothing like that. It just happened to happen at the same time. So watching that, I literally in that moment I just thought to myself, nah, like, this guy obviously is big and strong, but there's nothing about him or about any of these other boxers that is far-fetched to me. Do you know what I mean? They throw punches, 1-2s, left hooks, block. So I just thought to myself, you know what, like, I'm never going to really get to all of these places. Like every lunch break, I'm eating fast food. If I'm not really living it, So that day, I decided, you know what, like, I think I'm done here. Do you know what I mean? I'm just gonna cancel everything. I was going to like a college or something like that. I said to my mum and that, like, I'm not working. I've saved up already. I'm not working. I'm not doing nothing. What I'm gonna do is just train. Do you know what I mean? Train. And that became the main focus for me from 2012. And then, I was, fortunate enough, I think in 2015, no, when did I start sparring AJ? I think 2014, I started sparring AJ and what's that, Dylan White are the two main pros. I sparred some other pros, Tony Conquest, etc. But those are two heavyweight guys who I knew of as professionals. And sparring them in the build up to obviously Rio, I wasn't on the team. I think I had like 11, 12 amateur fights at the time. And obviously sparring AJ was a bit more of a big deal because AJ was Olympic gold medalist and he had all of the fanfare. And then I remember sparring him and then finishing sparring him the first time. I was like, oh my God, proper awkward and this, that, and other. This is early days. And then he was struggling for sparring during that time because no one wanted to spar me. Probably didn't have the budget to fly people in. But then every time they called, I'm getting on that train from Hackney to Brentwood, straight to the matchroom gym. And then I was amateur, I was doing 8 rounds, some days 6, some days 8, like back to back rounds with him. So that started really boosting my confidence as well. And also, you know, winning amateur fights, especially at early level, you know, the first 20, you're boxing against other under 20 fights guys, do you know what I'm saying? So as much as I was always realistic, even at that stage, like the guys I'm boxing aren't the GB boys or internationals. But then when you're sparring an Olympic gold medalist or sparring a professional like Dylan White and, you know, holding my own against big heavyweights, I started to really believe. And then, am I talking too much?
Well, I want to ask you. No, you're not. But what I read that while you were watching the Olympics, well, in 2012, you were kind of focused on Usain Bolt. You watched Usain Bolt win.
Yes.
And then AJ popped up as well.
Yeah.
And it was his final.
Yeah. That's it. It was literally like that. Them two back to back. So what's your feeling on that? How that was? Yeah, obviously the hype was. Funnily enough, I was fortunate to get a break during that time because I get to see the Usain Bolt final. So that was crazy. So obviously that's what everyone was banking on. I just happened to.
Imagine if you hadn't seen it. But imagine
honestly,
if you hadn't seen it. You know, if you hadn't had a break then, you know?
No, it's sometimes I try not to think too much about that stuff, but genuinely, if I didn't have a break at that time and I maybe saw he won on like YouTube or on whatever, it's not the same feeling, but it's living it punch by punch. I think it was even count back. No, was it count back? I think the final was like, it was a draw and then it went back.
Yeah, and he beat Camarelli, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, he was down. And I think it's someone who'd beaten him before. So the whole story was there and I was living it punch by punch. And I think it was like last round, he has to, you know, bring some points back.
And he did. He brought some heat in that last round with Camarelli.
Yeah.
He brought some heat. It was you could really see how much he wanted it and it was a fight, wasn't it?
Yeah. And obviously that whole living that, it's like watching a football match live versus watching it back afterwards. So when you watch it live, you're really in it. You don't know what's happened. So that's kind of what it was, an emotional kind of roller coaster that I was sent on. The high of watching Usain Bolt win, then AJ's down, AJ's back up. This is before I even knew he wasn't, just as a fan. And like it just hit, like I said, it just hit that day. And I was like, nah, this isn't for me. Do you know what I mean? None of this is like, I can be a boxer, like I can. And then over time, getting to spar AJ, it's like, it seems crazy. Not crazy. It's just, I'd say it seems like everything was just meant to be.
Fate.
Do you know what I mean?
It's fate, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Fate, yeah.
Yeah, when I stop and think about it, it's like, I think speaking of AJ, I saw him in like 2013, just outside the club, and we couldn't get in, but AJ could, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously to then spar him later, and all that, and then it all just kind of fell into place. Like, and then even Rob McCracken happened to see me sparring AJ. Do you know what I mean? Just happened to come in the gym one day and saw, and he thought I was a professional heavyweight, not a amateur 200-pounder. So when he caught wind of that, he was like, "Oh, I've just seen this guy do 8 rounds with AJ, and he's an amateur. How many fights you had?" I remember one day, so I knew who he was. I knew who he was already. Then like one day, he was like, "You're an amateur?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, cool. How many fights you had?" I was like, "Yeah, I've had 14 or something like that." He's like, "Oh, okay, man. I thought you were a pro." I was like, "Yeah, no, I am." He's like, "You know what you should do? One day come down to Sheffield and spar all of the boys. Doesn't mean you're going to get on the team, but just come down and have a little go." And I was gearing up for that. I was thinking, yes, this is my time. The call's coming. He called me, then I'm going to spar Dylan, and then I sparred him again, and I broke my hand in that spar. And I was gutted. I was like, oh my God. he's gonna forget that Rob McCracker's gonna forget all about me, blah blah blah. Like obviously, because I'm in Hackney and these guys are in Sheffield and on TV, like they're completely foreign and like seem out of my reach. So when obviously I gave them the news, you know, my hand's broken. I thought, yeah, I've blown it. You know, it's over. Like, you know, but then I got onto the then what happened? Sorry. So my hand was healing from being, you know, broken, and then the ABAs came around, and then there was a guy who I had a little bit of a grudge with. Not a little, it was huge at the time. It was everything in terms of boxing. He's still boxing now. His name's James Branch. He's a southpaw from Wrexham and Essex, I believe. And I remember, obviously, he'd beaten me the year before in the ABAs, and I was, when I say, because there was a little bit of rivalry back in there, the fact that he managed to, you know, nick the fight the whole year. He worked in my area in Stratford anyway. So every time I go to Westfields, I'll be with my boys, and they'll purposely go to the shop he works in to buy something. And then I have to tag along that and then see him there. And it's like, is that the guy that beat you? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then like always, and then for the whole year, taking the piss out of me. Then my hand's not fully healed, but then I got the rumour he's in it, and me and him are the only ones in this part of London. So if I go in, it guarantees a fight. So I was thinking, you know what?
Got to do it.
I have to do it. And obviously he got to the finals of the ABA the year before. So he managed to, so he was already rated. The GP team already knew who he was. I was thinking, go in and right this wrong. You know, maybe they'll remember it's me, like the guy with the hand. And obviously, because they knew my hand was fractured, they obviously made the win bigger. And yeah, I managed to go in there, get the victory. And I could not continue in the tournament. But for me, it was enough. Do you know what I mean? The fact that I beat him and whatever else, it was enough.
Have you, so the McDonald's was in Stratford or not?
No, the McDonald's was in Victoria.
So have you eaten a McDonald's since?
I've eaten some chips. I don't eat meat anymore, but I've eaten you know, after a night out. Do you know what I mean? A little drive-through McDonald's is never going to hurt.
But did you, because obviously you were much heavier then, did the weight just drop off you then when you just started training?
It was actually very quick. It was actually very quick how fast the weight dropped off. When I think about it, it was like maybe a matter of months, because I was on it every single day. It was just like, I wasn't even paying attention. It was just working until I got to like 100 kilos. When I first saw 100, then it's like, okay, Lawrence, get to 99. Got to 99. Then it's like, there is a weight class that's, you know, 91. So I grafted to get down to 91. And then I think I even got all the way down to like 84 one time. And then that was it. I was like, yeah, I was like
that. No?
Yeah, it was bad. I think I've seen pictures of myself. I said, nah, I couldn't even do it. And then, funnily enough, after I went to America with my mum and my family, and then I came back like 90-something kilos. The kilos added up. And then after that, I was like, you know, I'm just staying at 91.
You mentioned your mum. I've also read that your mum is a massive inspiration to you and you're incredibly close to your mum. I often ask this when boxers say this. Are you a mummy's boy?
I've been asked that. I wouldn't say I'm a mummy's boy as per se, but obviously I respect my mum and I have admiration for her. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like as I've gotten older, especially, it's become more. Do you know what I mean? So when I was younger, of course, I had a fear/respect. Where now I don't fear her; it's just respect. Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing wrong with a very tough man being a mummy's boy. You know that.
Yeah, no, of course.
Because our mums,
like,
you know, our mums make us sweet. Our mums make us sweet. You know.
No, 100%. I hear that. But like I said, you know, there's nothing I wouldn't do for her. Do you know what I mean? And even the rest of my family. But it's like it's understanding the sort of sacrifices she made. Do you know what I mean? And when I was younger, I might not have understood them as such, and maybe. But as I got older and, you know, started living like and experiencing different things, you realise, wow, okay. And even the respect, as I said, you know, she was working as a cleaner in a gang estate, actually, funnily enough, in another area. And you know, she would sometimes like do double sessions, sleep so she went from a cleaner, then she worked to being a concierge, saving money, still being able to take us on holidays every year. Do you know what I mean? Once a year, she'd save up, and it wasn't just me; it was me and my brother. You know, me, my brother, my sister, just doing whatever it takes to get us gone, And at the time, I'm just living it, like getting on the flight and, you know, whatever, and, you know, going to, you know, Florida and this and that, and not understanding what money means and stuff. But, you know, as I got older, and it's, you know, I started making my own money and stuff, I started, do you and my sister want to go on holiday? Yeah, let's go. This one's on me. You know, the house that we grew up in, like, let's get it done up. Let's do this. Let's do that. Do you know what I mean? Because I understand. I can always remember the stuff she did, but now I understand it more. So definitely, you know what I mean? She's a massive inspiration. And to go from that, I forgot to mention as well, to being a cleaner, being a concierge, doing all these jobs that no one wants to do, to saying, you know what, I'm going to put all this aside. I'm going to, I don't know how old she must have been, 30 something, 40 something. But yeah, probably not 40. And say, I'm going to go to college. You know, all her friends probably like, oh, going to college with these young people. Like, you're a grown woman with kids. You know, going there, I remember her just, you know, locking herself away in a room, studying. And then to go from that to going to university, getting a degree, you know, graduating. And all those things, as I said, it's like, as I'm older, I understand what it takes, like, and how big an accomplishment it was. So just looking at all those mindsets and her, and then that even inspired my dad to go on and do the same.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
what's mum and dad's name, and what did they study in the end then?
My dad studied law. His name's Lawrence Okolie.
Yeah.
And then my mum's name's Elizabeth. But those are English. Elizabeth Okolie as well.
What does she study?
She studies social work. So she's now like a social worker. Like,
what a story! What a story, Lawrence! What a story!
Yeah, so yeah, like I said,
people made good. People made good, Lawrence. That's what it is. You know.
No, trust. I got to give them their props for that.
Yeah.
And then that kind of mindset, because you know, it's obviously the thing that I like about doing interviews with you is that you kind of understand like the stuff past boxing and just on a personal level.
Totally.
But it's like for me, what I found in like my community, or like in a lot of, when I speak to a lot of my age mates and stuff like that, in terms of the mindsets, yeah, it's like I had to, when I think about, where does my, like, you know, dedication and this that come from, I think that in this conversation even, it's helped me even more so understand that it must have come from seeing that, because we never really had the conversations of, you know, go to uni and become a doctor and then own your own doctoring clinic. It was just, just be a doctor or be a lawyer or work for someone or this, that, and other. Where what I realized is that from where they come from, in terms of my parents, so what they managed to achieve is monumental. Do you know what I'm saying? If I had to leave the comforts of, you know, Africa and come to England, and, you know,
it's proper ownership of your life, isn't it? It's proper ownership of your life. It's very inspirational. I'm getting tingles listening to it. I'm getting tingles. No, really. I know you well enough to know these things. We've spoken many times. We've had deep conversations about being a human being. You know.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what it really is. You know what I mean? Like, because obviously, you know, a lot of times people just see boxers, you know, or athletes or anyone in the public eye as just that. Do you know what I mean? But you forget everyone has a story, the reason why they're there, or do you know what I mean? What motivates them? Do you know what I mean? What pushes them, what drives them, you know. So yeah, it's interesting.
So all these amazing, fateful things, this whole journey, I've been watching you, that you're telling now, seeing you grow. We're a week away now from a really big moment. The Olympics was huge. Getting in the British team was huge. Winning British titles is huge. Winning European titles is huge. Commonwealth, all these. World title next week.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is a big moment in your life, isn't it?
No, it definitely is. It definitely is a big moment. But I was talking to my strength coach, Duncan, today, and I'm still trying to find a way to articulate it. It's a big deal. Like, but it's just, it feels like it's going to be an exclamation mark. So, okay, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it, and I still can't. It's like losing, which I don't think about, but in reality would be catastrophic in terms of like, like, do you know what I mean? As we said, fate and everything happening for a reason, and it's all building up to this. But winning is not going to have the same. It's the flip effect. If that makes, it's not going to be like, oh my, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened. It's going to be great, but it's going to be a checkpoint ticked in my life. But we can always say, you know what, world champion. But
just the beginning. Now,
just the beginning. Exactly. Like I've allowed myself to dream. Like, I've allowed myself to really believe. You know what? Why can't I be unified? Like to be like, why can't I go up to heavyweight? Why can't? So winning the world title next week is going to be amazing, but I can't see it as, yep, I've done it. You know what, guys? Pack it all in. Roll. The show's over. Like it's like it's part of the journey. So it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. You know, obviously it's a good fighter that I'm in there against, but I just, as I said, I do believe it's my time. But more than it just being my time is I've put the work in. You know, I look back and say, it's not about this training camp I've had. You know, these weeks building up to the fight is one before. So dealing with adversity, dealing with, you know, critics or people telling me I can't do it, or you're rubbish, or you just hold, and you know, happen to sort of put that to one side and say, you know what, just keep going. Like, it's not about that. It's about how you feel about yourself. It's about what you're able to accomplish within yourself. Because at the end of the day, when I'm finished with my career, that's when I'll be able to look back and say, you know what, this is what we did. This is what they said. This is what I really did. Do you know what I mean? And then we'll see what's what.
Well, listen, you've got, you and I have spoken about this, and I've kind of encouraged you. You're a huge human being physically. Like you say, you were carrying 300 pounds on that frame before.
Exactly.
You know? Like with ease, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a very awkward style. You've got power in both hands. I think your awkward style is one of your benefits. People were criticizing your style before, and I remember saying to you, that's your style. Ricky Hatton had his own style. Joe Calzaghe had his own style. Lennox Lewis had his own style. Our great stars of boxing have been successful, have cultivated their own style. It's a natural thing. The fact that you've got, you know, Johnny Nelson always talks to me about you. He says, that guy, I mean, Johnny's was a big cruiserweight, 13 title defenses. You're the next, if he's an XL, you're an XXL. and so Johnny always says to me, he said years ago, world champion. I've always thought that as well. So I'm very excited for you for next week. I wish there was 12,000 people in there or 18,000 people in there, but I don't think that will affect you. You had the opportunity to go there in December. You got your work done. You didn't do any overtime, did you?
Yeah.
You know?
No need.
You know? You hurt him. You know you've got power in both hands. You know you've got world level power. It's just about activating whatever game plan you've put together with Shane now. You look in fantastic shape, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, for me, that's all it is really. It's like, Shane was even commentating this week. Is just like, you're super. Now, obviously, he's a very calm guy. He's done this several times. But it's like other people that he's, you know, trained beforehand, it gets super intense before big occasions. But I'm just like laughing, joking, like still putting the work in. But it's just, no matter what happens, you know, I have a good day in the gym, I have a bad day, I have a knock, anything that goes on, it's just, just keep it going, keep the show going. So for me, yeah, I feel really, really good. I feel that I'm gonna go in there and execute exactly what we're meant to do, which is win. Because that's one of my main actually, or one of my main like characteristics that allows me to do what I've done so far. But it's like, Shane, what's my, because he's like, you don't punch just as hard as David Hay, yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's like, what did he say? He's like, David Hay is more explosive, but I'm more thudding, whatever. I'm gonna put Shane in it. Let him. That's what he said. He said, I've got extremely thudding power. I take it. But what he says is my best attribute is my will to win. And it's like, it's weird because it's like, that's not something that I feel like I've demonstrated. But obviously when I look back and see some of my fights, it's like, you know what? If a fight, I'll do what it takes to win, no matter what anyone's saying.
You never seem overawed by anyone. You do what it takes to win.
Yeah. And that's going to come in handy next week. You know, we don't know what Goraki's going to be like. He's had a year and a half off. He's talking about, you know, fighting Bradis again, and he's got his own motivation. So, you know, that's going to be a world level fighter trying to become 3-time world champion. And he probably thinks to himself, you know, this guy's inexperienced. He probably thinks, you know, okay, he's had 15 fights or whatever, and won them, but not at the level of boxer. He probably thinks that he's going to win. Of course he does, you know what I mean? But obviously I have to show him brutally. It's not the case.
Well, listen, go get the BO next week. Then you can get the BF, the BC, and the BA, and unify. It's great to see you. Yeah, you go.
Thank you.
It's great to see you, Lawrence. I always appreciate your time, yeah?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, then. Sweet. Have a good one.